Well, you guys seem to enjoy the Rene Dupree video for some reason. Kinda suspect, but anyway. I thought, what else can I do for Rene Dupree's career? And I thought of two things: heat and velocity. We still haven't done any velocity videos yet on this channel, so let's check out and see if Rene Dupree was the king of velocity. Our first match of the French Phenom's journey takes place on July 10, 2004 of Velocity. Rene comes down to the ring accompanied by his poodle Fifi, making her debut on the channel. We see Josh Matthews and Fat Fuck Hugh Morris on commentary as Rene will go toe-to-toe with the FBI Sicilian shooter, Nunzio. Rene and Nunzio with the circling and the tie-up before Dupree pushes him off to start the match off. Nunzio keeps getting thrown out of the tie-up as Rene hits some French edgers. Nunzio starts to lay in the kicks on the knee before he runs off the ropes with the basement dropkick. Nunzio climbs to the top rope, but Rene then trips him up down to the floor. Big open hand titty chop from Rene. Nunzio then gets rebounded with the back body drop, followed by the running elbow. Nunzio gets the kick out. Rene tries to
rip you in half now,
but Nunzio gets some kicks to the head and rolls up Dupree in the small package for a 2 count. Nunzio gets a sunset off Rene's powerbomb, but Nunzio then gets hoisted up into
it's the bear hug! This is it, Josh!
Not too long after, Nunzio hits a pendulum DDT on Rene for the double down. Rene eats the corner, Nunzio slides through his legs and then hits a big missile dropkick for another 2 count. Nunzio goes back to the top and Rene ducks, but Nunzio almost turns himself into a Geodude. The French tickler is a sign of the end as Rene lifts up Nunzio with the Michinoku driver and scores the victory over the little Guido. 2 weeks later, and Rob Van Dam out this bitch, and he's gonna take on our poodle-loving, French tickling, no good field de pute, Rene Dupree. Wait, why is Fifi white this week?
Michael Jackson disease, huh?
Rene disrobes as the bell rings to start us off. Rene gets a feint punch and shows off his abs, but RVD lays him out with a clothesline. Rene gets some hip tosses before he can then escape to the outside to avoid the Van Daminator. Rene talks some shit on the outside to the fans before Rob just rights him in the face and tosses him into the turnbuckle. Rob hangs Dupree up on the barricade before he then climbs the apron and hits his signature leg drop on our French guy. Rob back in the ring hits a slingshot leg drop before Dupree gets the kick out. Rene rakes the eyes, but Rob lays him out with the roundhouse. Rob climbs to the top, but Dupree then just launches Van Dam into the barricade. Rene with the body slam, followed by the French tickler. Rob then hits a spinning heel kick for the double down. Rob stops the corner smash and nails a kick to the head before he then hits the one-of-a-kind moonsault, but Rene kicks out at 2.5. Rob gets some offense before Rene looks for a powerbomb, and then Rob rolls him through and hits a drop kick, followed by the Rolling Thunder. Rene with the corner kick, he toe touches out of the corner and then eats a corner Van Daminator. Rob scales the top and then nails a 5-star frog splash to secure the win as Rene lays there spitting out blood. Also, before I forget, shout out to Hollow Rich for this footage. 5 weeks later, Rene Dupree returns to Velocity with Black Fifi this time in his corner as he will take on Charlie Haas accompanied by Miss Jackie. And Charlie Haas actually looks like he's wearing John Cena's prototype gear. They lock up into the corner, Haas pushes Rene and they start showing the amateur skills. The French Phenom meets the corner but then pops Haas onto the ropes with the fireman's carry. Rene with a titty chop, Charlie nails some rights out of the corner before he then botches a neck breaker and then hits the throwback.
You have a hamster at home? We can't talk about that.
I don't know what they're talking about on commentary, but Rene tries to give Jackie his French tickler as he then pulls her by the hair and then lays out Charlie with a clothesline. The Manhattan followed by a clothesline and the exploder suplex for the kick out from Dupree. Rene tries for a neck breaker, but Haas maneuvers into his own neck breaker for another kick out. Rene counters the body slam, Haas into a waist lock rolls up Dupree. Dupree then overpowers Haas and uses the tights for leverage to score the win. 4 weeks later, and now WWE Tag Team Champion Rene Dupree, accompanied by his tag team partner Kenzo Suzuki and Hiroko, goes toe-to-toe with Hardcore Bob Holly. Rene French surrenders and then does a little strut before the collar and elbow tie-up. Rene pushes Holly into the corner and then spits in his face before he escapes to the outside to avoid Holly breaking his jaw. Rene grabs his flag and starts waving it on the apron to stall some more time as Holly is getting more annoyed. Rene puts the brakes on to avoid a punch, but Holly gives him a tit chop and starts giving him a mastectomy in the corner. Dupree soon recovers with the kitchen sink. Trading blows minigame after nothing notable happens for a few minutes. Rene then pops off the ropes with a shoulder tackle for the double down. Hardcore Holly hits his comeback. He nails a great drop kick before Rene kicks out at 2. Holly climbs to the top and hits a weird looking crossbody. I think Rene was supposed to catch him, but Rene gets a kick out of the corner and a jackknife cover for the 2. French tickler leads to the roll-up counter, followed by a snap power slam from Holly, but Rene survives. Hiroko was on the apron and distracting the referee. Holly looks for the Alabama slam at the same time, but this allows Kenzo to get on the apron and get involved in the match. Rene takes advantage of the confusion and drops Holly with the Dupree driver to steal the win. Next week on Velocity, we have some non-title tag team action as our WWE Tag Team Champions, Rene Dupree and Kenzo Suzuki, accompanied by Hiroko, will take on the team of... Sorry, my bad. They will take on the team of Shannon Moore and Funaki. Kenzo Suzuki and Shannon Moore will start off our tag team match. Kenzo actually wants to start with Funaki, so Shannon gives the fans what they want. Rene gets the tag and immediately gets a Funaki arm drag. Funaki ducks an elbow, Rene hits a leapfrog and emotes before Funaki arm drags him again. Funaki tags the Shannon Moore as they then hit a drop toe hold, followed by a springboard leg drop for the 2 count. Rene changes the tide after Kenzo gets a cheap shot on Funaki on the ropes and Dupree gets the tag. Rene soon comes back in for the assisted throwback and the taunting to Shannon Moore. Rene shows off his French tickler as Kenzo Suzuki does it in stereo with him. Funaki with the right hand, he then hits a step-up enziguri for the double down. Shannon Moore gets the hot tag and lays in the offense on Dupree, hits a drop toe hold and does his own French tickler before hitting a leg lariat off the middle rope. Suzuki trips off the rope and still breaks up the count. Shannon sends Suzuki over the top. Shannon then gets caught, but Funaki drop kicks him onto Dupree for a 2.5. Suzuki gets in the ring and hits a choking STO type move. Rene then soon covers more and scores the win for his team. 4 weeks later in Mr. Thursday Night, Rob Van Dam returns to Velocity for a rematch against our French tickler alongside Kenzo Suzuki and Hiroko and Fifi.
That thing is pink!
RVD and Rene tie it up to start us off in some pretty entertaining shame wrestling as Rene hops a shot, RVD ducks, and then misses a senton. Rene then misses an elbow into a standoff. Rene smacks the dog shit out of Rob. Rob then gives him a receipt in the form of his boot. Rob looks for the Rolling Thunder, but Suzuki gets the leg grab on the floor, and then Rene turns Rob 1080 with the clothesline. Kenzo and Hiroko are then thrown out from ringside. What about Fifi? Where the hell does she go? Rene whips out the French tickler, but as he propels off the ropes, he eats a big spinning heel kick. RVD with the right hands, Rene slips and his head just smacks against the ropes, which made me shit my pants. Rob splits through the whip and hits a Harlem kick. Rob then catches Rene in the corner with the monkey flip, followed by the back handspring moonsault press for the 2 count. Rob with the ECW shoulder thrust, he then slingshots Rene into the corner and rebounds him with the back body drop. Nobody's home for the 5-star frog splash. Rene then tries to roll Rob into a cover, but he doesn't get enough. Rene's lip has been busted open again from Rob Van Dam. Rene grabs a chair and his title belt from ringside and tosses them into the ring. Rob then nails the Van Daminator with the chair assist while the ref was distracted, covers Dupree and scores a 3 count. 2 weeks later, and Rene Dupree and Black Fifi returns. What Fifi skin do you think is best? Let me know in the comments. But anyway, Dupree goes one-on-one with Booker T. Booker T backs Rene into the corner to the USA chance to kick this off. Booker T with the rapid fire rights and the titty chops in the corner, he then nails a back elbow and then drops Rene with the suplex. Rene with the eye rake, Rene titty chop on Booker, but Booker ducks and hits a super kick. Off the ropes, Rene holds himself, but Booker just clotheslines him over anyway. Booker boots a begging Rene from the commercial break. Rene then gets a head kick and a lariat to change the momentum. Booker gets an elbow out of the corner, misses a super kick, sends Rene off, and hits the Harlem sidekick for redemption. Titty shot from Booker. Booker then misses the sidekick and hangs his nuts on the ropes. Booker suffers in some rest holds. Rene breaks out the French tickler, but Booker T moves out of the way of the headbutt. Booker T then plants Dupree down with the flapjack. Booker hits a flying elbow to the back and then starts his comeback as he nails Dupree with a spinning heel kick for a 2 count. Rene counters the Irish whip, but he then gets pulled in for the bookend. Booker T then gets fired up and hits the spinner Rudy, followed by the scissors kick to score a 3 count. Rene Dupree appears back on Velocity in the new year of 2005 on January 8th with frosted tips and facial hair and Black Fifi, and he gets a rematch against the Nuns. Nunzio pushes Rene and starts smacking at the JT hair to kick us off. Josh Matthews is rooting for Nunzio because he likes Italian food and mentions French meatloaf.
What?
The hell is fucking French meatloaf? Nunzio with the sunset flip, Rene then maneuvers himself and lifts up Nunzio for a powerbomb, but Nunzio counters with a Hurricane Rana. Rene then catches his bulldog and just shit cans him over the top rope to a floor. Nunzio gets a jawbreaker, followed by the satellite DDT before he crawls over for the pinfall, but can only score a 2. Nunzio with the 10 punches, he ducks a line and then hits a basement dropkick. Nunzio then nails the Sicilian slice off the middle rope before Dupree gets the kick out. Nunzio misses the crossbody out of the corner before Rene lays him out with a spinebuster. Rene shows off his French tickler and then drops the elbow, followed up by the Dupree driver to score another win against Nunzio. Next week on Velocity, and Rene Dupree accompanied by Gray Fifi? I guess we have 4 versions to vote on now, but Rene Dupree gets another rematch and he will be taking on Charlie Haas. Haas with the shoulder tackle, he lays Rene out with another, but this one knocks him down to the floor. A lot of rights and wrist locks, Rene then hammer throws Charlie into the corner. After some time, Dupree climbs to the top rope, but Haas hops to the middle rope and sends Rene off the top with an arm drag. Haas and Dupree trade blows, Haas with the Manhattan followed by a drop kick and the back body drop before he hits a running forearm off the ropes. Charlie eats a corner in the French tickler, Haas counters the Dupree driver and hits the T-bone suplex, secures the pin, and gets some redemption against Dupree. 2 weeks later, Rene Dupree is Fifi-less as he goes in singles action against jobber that is just named Biohazard. Rene offers a handshake, but you fool! He gets kicked in the gut and eats some jabs. Rene then hits a super stiff elbow to Biohazard's face off the ropes. Rene then hoists up Biohazard for a standing vertical suplex before the kick out. Rene with the hazardous titty chop, he then rebounds Hazard with the back body drop. Bio gets a kick out of the corner and kicks him in the kidney before he hits the middle rope throwback for the kick out. Rene gets the head kick on Hazard and lays him out with a lariat. French tickler for your mom as he then drops Hazard with the Dupree driver for the win. 2 weeks later and we're in Japan as, okay, what the fuck, that's not even the same breed of dog. Sorry, but Rene Dupree competes in a rematch against Hardcore Howie. Rene tosses Howie off the middle rope during his entrance to start us off. Rene eats the corner and Howie tries to roll him up for a 2. Howie then lays in the titty chops on Rene in the corner before dropping him with the full Nelson. Dupree grounds Howie for a little bit before he catches Howie with a snap power slam and a 2 count. Strike exchange from both men, Rene then collides with Howie for the double down. Howie ducks a line and starts up his own lines before Rene gets laid out with a drop kick and the kick out. Howie gives Rene a kick to the tummy, scales the top, and then misses the flying elbow. Here comes the French tickler, but Howie then maneuvers out of the Dupree driver and then lays him out with the Alabama slam to secure the victory. Holy shit, this match was slow and boring. Next week on Velocity, we get a rubber match between Charlie Haas and our French phenom with Gray Fifi in his corner. Haas and Dupree with the lockup and Rene sending Charlie away with the hip toss to start us off. Haas gets a corner kick and then jumps off the middle ropes for a bulldog. Haas ducks a clothesline, hops to the top and hits a nice flying clothesline. Charlie says feel the rush and gives a spinning leg drop for the 2 count. Haas eats the corner and then Rene catches him off the rebound with the neck breaker. The French tickler fails to secure the Dupree driver as Haas then hits a bridging German suplex and gets the 1-up on Rene to end this one. Flash the next week and White Fifi makes a return with Rene Dupree and he will be taking on the Too Cool, Scotty Too Hottie. Rene clamps on to Scotty for the hip toss. Rene misses a line in the corner and then gets taken to arm drag city by Scotty. Scotty avoids the up and over and he gives a little French tickler for Rene. Dupree responds by tossing Scotty into the turnbuckle. After the working hold, Scotty scores a back suplex for the double down. Scotty kips up and gives Rene the Manhattan, followed by the flying elbow to the mush. Rene counters the Irish whip, gets a boot to the mouth, and then Scotty takes a run, but Rene hits him with the kitchen sink, followed by the tickler. Scotty rolls up Rene for a 2 count. Rene avoids another roll up, but then runs into a super kick. Rene gets the kick out. Scotty gets dumped to the outside. He flips over Rene into the ring, but then runs into the Dupree driver, and Rene scores the win. Honestly, I love this finish, and I have no idea why. Shout out to Dean Taylor for this footage. 11 weeks later, and Rene Dupree, but no Fifi in sight, returns to Velocity on May 14th, and he's going to go up against the Mohawked Knievel, Shannon Moore. Shannon rolls up Rene for a 2 out of the lockup and then boops his nose, but Rene responds by stomping the shit out of him and shit-canning Shannon to the floor. Shannon gets some rights on Dupree, but Rene catches him off the rebound with the spine buster. French tickler for your gooch as he then drops the fist drop before Moore kicks out at 2. Shannon fights out of the powerbomb with punches and then scores a 2 count. Moore soon ducks a line and then hits a flying knee strike. Shannon starts his comeback, shows off his French tickler, and then hits a rolling neck breaker, but Rene kicks out at 2. Rene powers Shannon into the corner and on the top, but Shannon fights him off and then hits a diving Hurricane Rana before Rene can get the shoulder up. Shannon lands on Rene's knee off a crossbody. Dupree then lifts him up and plants him with the Dupree driver for the win. There's only 2 matches left in this run. One is also one against a jobber, but I just can't seem to find it, and I don't really think it's worth it after how many matches I've already done. So let's just go to the last one. Shout out to Best Duos Ever for the footage. 5 weeks later on Velocity, and get ready for this match card. Rene Dupree takes on the one and only Mark Jindrak. Rene has a microphone and he reintroduces himself to the people who forgot him. Mark shoots Rene off for a shoulder tackle before he does his tickle strut. Mark soon after shoulder tackles Dupree through the ropes to the floor. Rene gets a big boot to Mark's face in the corner and then starts choking him out on the ropes. Mark gets out of the working hold with a back body drop, followed by another, make it 3, and then Mark hits a freak drop kick for the kick out. Jindrak looks for a powerbomb, Rene flips him over and misses the punch. Jindrak then runs off the ropes and eats a spinebuster. Rene starts up his French tickler and then instead locks in a cobra clutch on Jindrak, and then Jindrak has to tap out to the vicious new finisher from Rene Dupree. And that, my friends, was every Rene Dupree match that he had on Velocity. Send this to Rene Dupree and maybe I'll make another one of these for some reason. I love you all and I will talk to you all later.
Over,